all I was told, the Indiana Fever media, I was told by the team when she was hired, Stephanie White was hired, that she was a defensive guru. I was told that she was going to work Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark like John Stockton and Karl Malone. Folks, the Atlanta Dream set a franchise record with 113 points tonight. The Fever standard operating procedure came out fast in the first quarter, shit the bed the rest of the game. What actual adjustments did Stephanie White make at halftime? Because I swear to God, she didn't make any. And is there a reason why she keeps benching Caitlin Clark in the second quarter? Because they go to timeout, or they go to the end of the quarter.
Welcome back to WNBA Trends. Let's talk about what just happened in Atlanta and why it matters way more than the final score suggests. The Indiana Fever walked into State Farm Arena yesterday with a simple job: keep up with the Dream. They couldn't. The Dream set a franchise record, dropping 113 points on them. Indiana lost 113-96. That's not a competitive loss. That's a statement. But here's what actually stings. The Fever led at halftime. They were shooting 61% from the floor and 60% from three. Caitlin Clark had 15 in the first half alone. This looked like a blowout coming, but Indiana's way. Then the third quarter happened and everything collapsed. Atlanta outscored them 28-15 in that one quarter. Not close, not competitive. The game was over. This is the fourth time in 5 games the Fever have given up over 100 points. That's not bad luck anymore. That's a pattern. When Stephanie White was hired, the front office sold her as a defensive genius. They called her the voice who would turn Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston into a modern Stockton and Malone. They promised a defensive turnaround. What they got was the Dream scoring from everywhere, with all 5 starters finishing in double figures. Ryan Howard led with 24. Alicia Gray added 21. Naz Hillman had 19. Angel Reese scored 18. Jordan Canada got 12. This wasn't one player going off. It was 5. That's not a defensive collapse. That's a team with no answers. The numbers underneath make it worse. Indiana turned the ball over 19 times. Atlanta turned it over 8. That's an 11-turnover swing. The Fever grabbed 4 offensive rebounds. The Dream grabbed 12. When your opponent gets 13 extra possessions because of sloppiness and rebounding, you're not winning. You're getting embarrassed. And Clark, bless her, did everything she could. 26 points on 11 of 18 shooting, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. But here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. No single player can outscore a defense surrendering 113. You can't ask her to do it every night, and right now, that's exactly what's being asked. Meanwhile,
guys, the Indiana Fever, in this, of course, this game's over, had 4 offensive rebounds. The Dream had 12. The Fever had 19 turnovers. The Dream had, let me scroll down. The Dream had 8. Yikes. They let Angel Reese kind of do what she wanted to do. 7 of 14, shot 50%, 8 rebounds. Ryan Howard, 24 points. Caitlin Clark, bless her heart. Kelsey Mitchell continues to dribble the ball into frickin' oblivion. Guys, she went straight at 4 defenders today for a layup instead of passing the ball out. That is not going to win you games.
Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston picked up her 5th foul late in the third quarter, with the Fever still within striking distance. She finished with just 13 points in 22 minutes. Stephanie White could have challenged that foul. She didn't. Once Boston went to the bench, Atlanta just moved into the paint and stayed there. The Fever had no rim protection, no answers, nothing. And here's where the real problem shows up. Everyone watching on ABC noticed the same gap. Indiana doesn't have a stretch power forward. Aaliyah Boston is a true center being asked to hold down an entire front court with almost nothing beside her. When she's on the floor, spacing collapses. When she's off, rim protection leaves with her. That's not something you coach around. That's a roster that's missing a critical piece. Against a team like Atlanta that can score from all 5 positions, that missing piece gets exposed fast, really fast. There's another issue hiding underneath all of this. In the first quarter, when the Fever were building that lead, they were playing fast. They were pushing tempo. They were running in transition. They looked like the best version of themselves. Then they switched into a half-court grind and got buried for 3 straight quarters. That's weird when you have a generational transition player like Caitlin Clark. If your team is best when it's sprinting, why would you ever slow it down? That's the tension between the coach Indiana hired and the team Indiana actually has. Stephanie White builds defensive half-court systems. The Fever are built on pace and shooting. Those don't always fit together as nicely as people hope they would. Let's be honest about what happened before tonight, too. 2 days ago, ESPN ran a feature on how the Fever had finally dialed in their defense. They'd just gone 5-1. They looked like they were figuring it out. Then Atlanta dropped a franchise record on them. That contrast matters. It means this isn't one bad night. It's a structural issue that keeps appearing when they face elite offensive teams. So now the question everyone's asking, is this on Stephanie White? She's the WNBA Coach of the Year from 2023. She went 55-25 over 2 seasons in Connecticut and took the Sun to back-to-back semifinals. Her defense ranked first in the league one year and second the next. Before White arrived, the Fever finished 11th out of 12 teams defensively. That's the entire reason Indiana...
You are 9-7 after 16 games with Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Sophie Cunningham on this team. You are 9-7. You're barely in the playoffs right now. The job is too big for Stephanie White. This team scoring on offense, by the way, they can't stop a nosebleed. They can't stop anything. They're like you're holding a net under a water faucet. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. I cannot wait to see if the media actually will press the coach. My gut feeling is no, they won't.
Indiana brought her home. She's also the coach who upset this exact dream team in the playoffs last year, then pushed the eventual champion Las Vegas Aces to Game 5 in the semifinals without a healthy Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham in the lineup. So she can coach. That part's proven. But at 9-7 after 16 games with Clark, Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Sophie Cunningham on the roster, something's not working right now. Third in the East behind Atlanta at 11-4 and New York at 11-5. For a roster built to contend, that's falling short. And there's something else worth mentioning. Kelsey Mitchell continues to make decisions that hurt this team. She attacked 4 defenders yesterday instead of passing the ball out. That's not going to win you games. That's someone playing outside her strengths. Here's what actually matters, though, and it's bigger than one box score. The Fever have a structural problem. They're missing a front court piece that every analyst watching could see. That's not a halftime speech fix. That's not a coaching philosophy fix. That's a front office problem. By the way, Angel Reese just grabbed her 1,000th career rebound last night. She did it in her 76th game. That's the fastest anyone's ever reached that mark in WNBA history. Tina Charles held the record at 89 games. When someone's setting historical records against your defense, that's not bad luck. That's a team with no answers. After a loss like that, the real question becomes about accountability. In a major market, after a franchise record gets dropped on your head, that's supposed to get torn apart from every angle. The press is supposed to press. That's how contenders get sharpened. That's how bad habits get exposed and fixed. But the national media has been soft on this Fever team. The real criticism has been left to fans and message boards. And that matters, because the stakes here are genuinely high. This isn't a rebuilding team playing for development. This is a roster with championship expectations. This is Caitlin Clark in the prime of her career. This is a franchise that filled arenas and turned this whole sport into something bigger. Every wasted month is a month of her peak you don't get back, and those months don't come back. So where does this actually land? Some of it is on Stephanie White. The defensive schemes aren't showing up consistently. Halftime adjustments didn't happen. Some of it is on the front office for handing her a roster without the stretch power forward piece this team obviously needs. Some of it is just Atlanta playing really, really good basketball. The honest answer is it's all three at once. But here's the real decision that has to be made. One problem gets fixed with a new voice on the sideline. The other problem doesn't get fixed until the front office makes a trade. You can't solve both by just changing the coach. You also can't solve both by just adding a power forward if the system still isn't working. This Fever team is 9-7. They're barely in the playoff picture right now. The hope was always championship. The reality is they're running out of time to figure out whether this core works together, whether this coaching philosophy fits this roster, and whether the front office is willing to make moves to complete this puzzle. Because if they don't, if they keep asking Caitlin Clark to outscore bad defense every night, this window closes quietly, and the brightest moment in WNBA history in a long time becomes a what-could-have-been story. The question now is whether the people running this organization understand that urgency, or whether they're hoping things figure themselves out. Based on what we've seen, hoping isn't a strategy, neither is patience, not when you've got Clark in her prime and expectations this high. So tell me, where do you land on this? Is this a coaching problem or a roster construction problem? Or is it time to stop waiting and start making changes? Drop your take in the comments. And thanks for watching WNBA Trends.